It's happening. All the years you thought were gone are being returned. And now, you're being rewarded for every invisible effort you did. You didn't mess it all up. You didn't miss the signs. And no, your time wasn't wasted. That aching feeling, that the clock kept moving while your life stood still, it's about to get answered. The asteroid Vesta just went direct in Scorpio. And while almost no one is talking about it, it might just be the turning point of the entire month. This isn't loud energy, it's precise, surgical, and it knows exactly where your soul paused and where to resume. If you feel like everything is going wrong for you lately, you're not alone. Feel free to leave your thoughts below, and if you want, you can even drop 333 along with it in order to align yourself with this shift. And if you've been wondering why certain people or patterns keep circling back into your life lately, keep watching, because there's one specific reason why this is happening now. I will go over that later, so don't skip. Because what happens next? You'll start to remember exactly why you held on for so long in the first place. The silent years, the stuck years, the why is nothing working years. They weren't void. They were storing something that's finally unlocking now. You've endured through time that felt completely disconnected from purpose, like your life hit pause while everyone else fast-forwarded. But what if I told you it was never about delay, it was about readiness? Vesta's direct motion in Scorpio is one of those hidden alignment points that barely anyone sees coming. But when it hits you, it hits differently. Suddenly, your energy starts choosing again. Not reacting, not scrambling, choosing. And that's how you know something deep in the system just unlocked. This isn't motivation. It's restoration. The power that was drained from you, the drive you buried just to make it through the week, it starts to flicker again. Not like before, not naive, but focused, precise. And the best part? You don't have to chase it anymore. It's coming to you. You're not being given another chance. You're being given the chance that was always meant to arrive now. And what's about to resurface over the next few days, let's just say it's not what you're expecting, but it's exactly what you're ready for. Not everyone is going to feel this shift. Some people will scroll right past it, shrugging it off like another random space rock moving through the sky. But if something deep inside you has been tugging, pulling your focus back inward, sharpening your vision, igniting something you can't quite name, then you're not one of those people. You're part of the few, the ones who know this fire isn't given, it's earned. Because Scorpio doesn't hand over its power. And Vesta? Vesta guards it like a temple with no doors. This isn't a spark that just lights up because you're ready now. It burns for those who choose themselves, relentlessly, quietly, repeatedly, even when no one else sees it. This isn't about being chosen. This is about choosing again and again until the fire recognizes you. You weren't waiting for a sign. You were proving that you deserve one. There's something rare happening with this movement. You may not see fireworks. You may not feel a thunderclap of realization, but that small stirring, that sudden sense that you've passed some invisible test, that's it. That's the signal. This is the type of sacred ignition that won't announce itself with drama or spectacle. It will burn steadily, silently, and with intent. And once it catches, it doesn't go out. Because what's being activated here is devotion, purpose, endurance, not all-consuming fire, but lasting fuel. You're not stepping into a moment. You're stepping into a role you've unknowingly been preparing for this entire time. And now that the flame is alive, what you do with it next is everything. There are decisions we make in this lifetime. And then there are vows, quiet, invisible, but permanent, that were made long before we got here. What if I told you that this moment, this strange, charged week where things suddenly feel specific, is actually the reactivation of something old? Not in a past life regression type of way, but in the form of a vow, a promise, a task that you took on long before you remembered how heavy it might be. This isn't fantasy, it's the soul's architecture, and right now, Vesta, keeper of sacred service, ancient duty, and spiritual fire, is unlocking something your conscious mind forgot, but your life didn't. Have you noticed how things are suddenly circling back to a particular idea, vision, or calling you once abandoned, or thought wasn't meant for you? That sense that a certain project or purpose is haunting you again, but this time, it feels aligned? That's not a coincidence. You didn't fail the mission. You just weren't meant to begin it until now. Every detour, every delay, every loss, every confused chapter was the training. And now, the map is unfolding. People might start showing up who feel oddly familiar. Tasks you once feared might suddenly feel doable. Something inside you may quietly say, "This is it. This is the thing." It's not pressure, it's precision. The kind that only shows up when you're finally attuned enough to handle it. Because the thing that's coming for you now isn't just a new chapter, it's the task you came here to complete. And whether you remember accepting it or not, the time to carry it out has finally begun. You tried everything. You read the signs, followed the nudges, cleared space, manifested, aligned. You lit candles, wrote intentions, even walked away from people you loved. And still, for some reason, the spark never caught. For years, it felt like you were preparing for something that just never arrived. You could feel the potential, like dry wood, stacked and ready, but no flame. And worse, everyone around you made it seem like you were the issue, like you were missing some secret step that would make the fire finally burn. But here's the truth no one told you. The fire was never yours to start. Some flames are meant to delay, because their timing must be sacred, not forced. Vesta, going direct in Scorpio, is that delay ending. It's that unbearable space between readiness and ignition finally closing. And suddenly, the match is lit, not by your effort, but by something ancient aligning on your behalf. You're not crazy for feeling like you were on the verge for years. You were right. You were on the verge of a flame that was never supposed to ignite until now. This moment isn't about chasing the fire. It's about recognizing that it's already here and knowing that your only job now is to direct it before it burns out. Because when a sacred flame finally lights, it doesn't ask questions. It moves fast, precise, and with no time for second guessing. And if you hesitate now, you risk watching the door close again with no promise of a second round. You don't need more signs. The spark is real. The fire is active. This is your moment to move with it, or lose the very thing you begged for. Don't waste this flame trying to understand it. Use it before it disappears. Because the truth is, the fire wasn't waiting for your confidence. It was waiting for your alignment. And now that it's here, the question isn't whether it's real. It's whether you're finally ready to let it change everything. You've been devoted to something for years, and you didn't even know it. Not a person, not a goal, not even an outcome, but a mission, a sacred thread that's been quietly weaving itself through your life, over and over, every time you tried to walk away from it, even when you pivoted, even when you gave up. Even when you thought you were starting over from zero somehow, you kept circling back to the same essence. Not the same job, not the same place, but the same frequency. That wasn't coincidence, that was Vesta. Vesta isn't just an asteroid, it's a force of spiritual commitment, but not in the obvious ways. It doesn't scream, it doesn't flash. It moves invisibly behind the scenes of your life, tying your soul to the one thing you came here to truly serve. And now, as Vesta moves direct in Scorpio, what was invisible becomes undeniable. That thread isn't just a feeling anymore, it's a path, a clear one, focused, unapologetic, fierce. Devotion doesn't always look like discipline. Sometimes it looks like returning over and over, no matter how far you stray. You might have thought you were lost. You weren't. You were being magnetized toward the very thing your soul swore to protect. And here's the twist no one expects. That devotion? It's not to success, not to recognition, not even to healing. It's to continuance, to staying loyal to a force that often feels irrational, but never stops calling. Vesta has always known your role, but it waited for you to mature into it. Because this isn't about being told what to do, it's about remembering what you already signed up for. And now that the signal's getting louder, you're going to start seeing what you once only felt. Synchronicities, symbols, full circle moments, all pointing to the same truth. You were never wandering, you were in training. And now the mission is waking up. Not because it's time to begin, but because the part of you that was always ready is finally in charge. Some support doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand entrances. Some protection is quiet, camouflaged in timing, hidden behind the scenes. But now, under this Vesta direct in Scorpio energy, something or someone is finally stepping into view. And the realization might shake you. That friend who drifted back into your orbit without warning. That stranger who reached out with eerily perfect words. That opportunity that made 0 sense on paper, but felt like it had been building for years. None of that was random. You're only now seeing the threads because you're finally aligned enough to recognize the pattern. You weren't being tested alone. Someone was praying for you behind the curtain. It could be a real person, someone you underestimated, someone who never asked for credit, someone whose quiet faith in you created a bridge when you didn't even realize you needed crossing. Or it could be something even subtler, a moment you thought was a coincidence, now revealing itself as divine choreography. This is the kind of ally that doesn't announce itself. They move like whispers. They appear when the noise dies down. And Vesta, in the most emotionally strategic of signs, Scorpio, brings them to the light not as a reward, but as a reminder. You are not the only one invested in your becoming. You may suddenly feel clarity rush in after years of fog. You may receive a message, a call, a moment of eerie synchronicity that feels like someone behind the veil nudged it into place. And you're right. They did. This energy is revealing the undercurrent of devotion, the loyalty, the unseen effort, the backup you didn't know you had. It's like looking back at a puzzle you've been piecing together for years, only to realize there were fingerprints on those pieces all along. You're not just standing up stronger now, you're standing with someone who's been quietly holding your fire when you couldn't. You never lost your way because someone never stopped lighting the path. And as we move forward, something even more powerful is starting to stir inside you. Not just clarity, not just answers, but capacity. You didn't lose your power. You just left it somewhere sacred, waiting for you to remember how to enter again. There is a space within you, older than your name, deeper than your identity, where clarity lives. A place you used to visit often in your childhood dreams, in your quietest moments, in the seconds right before you gave up or broke through. That space is your inner temple. And right now, the power is pouring back into it. Distraction, distortion, overthinking, spiraling fatigue, they've clouded the temple for so long that most people forgot it existed. But something's changing now. You're not seeking focus anymore. Focus is starting to seek you. Under Vesta's new direction in Scorpio, there is a sharpening happening. Your energy is no longer bleeding out into 10 half-hearted tasks. It's drawing back into the center, tight, pure, aligned. And you might begin to notice that your meditation hits a deeper silence, or your dreams leave behind residue, like they're more than dreams. You might have thought your creativity dried up, or your vision dimmed, or your motivation was just gone. It wasn't. It was waiting for a signal that you're finally ready to sit back in the throne of your own energy. This is about concentration, not in the productivity sense, in the sacred sense, the ability to hold energy again, to direct it like a current, instead of letting it scatter like sparks. It's the difference between lighting 1,000 candles and becoming the fireplace. Steady, warm, contained, powerful. The temple isn't somewhere you go, it's something you remember how to be. And now, with every breath, every intentional act, every moment you choose presence over noise, you are rebuilding the sanctuary. Not for others, for you. Because what's about to happen? It requires full presence. The kind only your temple can hold. And once that space is reawakened, well, let's just say, the initiation begins. Something subtle but undeniable is happening. You're not chasing things the way you used to. You're not scrambling for answers, signs, or validation. Instead, you're being pulled, gently but unmistakably, toward very specific people, places, and visions. And for the first time in a long time, it makes sense. Even if your mind doesn't understand it yet, something in your bones already does. There's a gravitational pull at play here. But this isn't chaotic attraction or spiritual randomness. This is what happens when a deeper alignment activates. When the fog lifts, when the flame becomes visible. Vesta in Scorpio doesn't draw you to just anything. It draws you to what matters. The magnetic fields are shifting. Things that used to distract you, excite you, tempt you, they're losing their grip. Because your system is tuning into something more refined now. Resonance. This is why that person you haven't thought of in years suddenly popped into your mind with unusual clarity. This is why an idea you abandoned long ago suddenly feels inevitable. This is why a place you've never been might start showing up in your dreams, or on signs, or in quiet conversations that feel like they're leading you somewhere. This pull isn't about desire, it's about memory. You're not discovering something new, you're remembering something ancient that was always yours. And that's why it feels so calm, yet so urgent. You're no longer wandering through options. You're orbiting a single flame, a core, a mission that's been burning at the center of your life, waiting for you to notice it. And now that you feel it, there's no turning back. The distractions are losing their volume. The detours no longer sparkle. Because when you're tuned into this kind of fire, everything else just looks like smoke. You're not being called randomly, you're being called because you're finally ready to hear it. And here's what nobody tells you. When you're this close to purpose, the pull doesn't feel forced. It feels familiar, almost like coming home. It's jarring, isn't it? The way some things that used to feel so tangled, so impossible, so endlessly confusing, now suddenly feel clear. Maybe even too clear. Like, how did I not see this before? You used to agonize over these decisions. You used to ask for signs, pull cards, journal endlessly, pace the room at night, trying to figure it out. And now? It just clicks. You know what you want. You know what you won't tolerate. You know who's in your corner and who's draining your light. There's no more internal debate, just recognition. But here's the strange part. That level of clarity can feel terrifying. Truth feels like silence after a storm. You expect thunder, but all you get is stillness. And the ego panics in stillness. It wants the chaos back. It misses the noise, the doubt, the overthinking, because those things used to mean you were still in control, still deciding, still unsure. But now you see it all. And there's no hiding. This is what Vesta direct in Scorpio really brings. Not just insight, not just direction, but an unshakable knowing, the kind that can't be explained to others because it didn't come from logic. It came from soul. Don't be surprised if this clarity feels lonely at first. Don't be alarmed if you feel a little distant from people who are still spinning in confusion. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. And not everyone is arriving at the same time. The discomfort you feel, that's the old scaffolding falling apart. The part of you that was addicted to struggle, realizing it's not needed anymore. For the longest time, it felt like you were stuck. Like life kept moving for everyone else while you kept circling the same empty space, trying to make sense of why nothing was working. The truth is, you weren't behind. You were being trained. Silently, consistently, and without recognition. While others appeared to soar ahead, you were being calibrated for something more precise. Not louder, not bigger, but deeper. And now that Vesta is direct in Scorpio, everything that was happening beneath the surface is starting to come alive. The difference is, you're not chasing anymore. You're being activated. You didn't just survive stillness. You learned from it. You didn't waste time. You gathered strength, built spiritual muscle, developed clarity that can't be taught by speed. And that's exactly why this next phase is yours. Not because you're finally ready, but because you've become someone who doesn't need to question whether you are. This isn't a reward for patience, it's the natural outcome of alignment. And Vesta doesn't show up when you beg for timing. She arrives when your internal rhythm matches something ancient and exact. That's why things are finally clicking. That's why your thoughts feel clearer, your energy more focused, your sense of purpose sharper than it's been in years. And here's what most people miss. Training doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like quiet failure, isolation, disappointment, restlessness. But those were never setbacks. They were refinements. Every moment that felt like a waste was a setup for what your conscious mind couldn't yet see. Now everything feels different. Not louder, not flashier, just undeniable. And that's how you know it's real. You're not searching anymore, you're recognizing. The clarity you're feeling isn't a coincidence. It's the result of every silent decision you made to stay the course when no one else could see what you were working toward. This chapter isn't about trying harder. It's about stepping into the role you've quietly been preparing for all along. It's about using the fire that's been reignited not to prove anything to anyone, but to fulfill the work you now realize was never optional. This is the beginning of embodiment. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. The path ahead won't require hustle, it'll require presence. You're not starting from scratch, you're moving from mastery. And everything you thought was lost, it's waiting for you at the next step, not as a redo, but as a restoration of what was always meant to be yours. once you are truly ready to carry it. This is the moment where it all starts making sense, quietly, powerfully, and without hesitation. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.